my homework on Fidel Castro.
Yeah.
I didn't know he went to Harvard.
Yeah, he's a graduate. He was a rich Cuban.
God.
So do you understand what he gave up? He was a rich Cuban. He was a lawyer. He was here.
Yeah.
And when he went back to Cuba, but because his family was so progressive, they said, we want a revolution. We got to do something. It's too bad.
Yeah.
He tried to work with the U.S.
Yeah.
Which was, to no avail.
To no avail.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, I think the U.S. had a lot of vested interest in Batista.
Oh, absolutely.
They were totally propping him up economically.
Oh, yeah.
You know what's really weird? Have you ever seen Guys and Dolls, the movie? You ever seen the Guys and Dolls movie? We're not on camera, are we? I mean, we're not recording, right? Let's not record this. I just want to kind of. But when you see the outtakes, oh my God! When you see Guys and Dolls, there's this whole big thing with Gene Simmons and Marlon Brando about how they're going to go to Havana. We're going to Havana. We're going to Havana tonight. We're going to come back tomorrow. We'll come back the same day. And let's go to Havana. And just like what you're saying, party. We're going to Havana. We're going to party in Havana. See, that people don't know that's what Cuba was. It was the
Vegas before Vegas.
That's right. That's right.
Vegas
and all that was over.
And all of that
was over.
Waste of money.
Finished. Terminado.
When he nationalized the banks, they damn near had a heart attack. No one had ever done that.
Yeah.
Because you're taking enough out of Cuba. What you got.
Yeah.
Nobody had ever done that.
Yeah. Wow, what a story. So what I was going to do is I wanted to establish you personally too, and the fact that you actually had kids and identified as a straight woman. And then I guess we can go to Stonewall. Is that anything else you want to talk about before we?
No, whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. If there's anything you think is really important to talk about before we go to that. Okay. So all right. Let's go. So here you were. You were a nice little married wife and mother, right? And had your 3 little kids, but you were a working mom. Now you were working at the hospital.
I think I was working at my mom's at the time.
Okay. So you're working mother.
Oh, yeah. Always worked.
Had to work.
Always. My kids would have been, oh, God, insane if I had been one of those mothers that had to stay home. They would have been, 3-year-old commit suicide, can't stand the mother any longer. Just the thought of that. And this is not to take away from women that can stay home and listen to baby talk and look at TV and be the soccer mom. That's, God bless them. Me? No way. I mean, I was home a week and was looking at TV and couldn't figure it out. I was like, no wonder the American woman is so crazy. The American housewife. But anyway, that's me.
So, were you aware of the gay and lesbian community before Stonewall?
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about that.
Gay men, gay women lived in our community. Lesbian women lived in our... I mean, they were always there. It wasn't a separate thing. They were part of the community. They just, You might hear somebody make a stupid remark. It comes to she, he, or something like that. But basically, they lived in our community. Gay older men who didn't work were babysitters, helped out with the elderly. Just they were always there. It was always wasn't a gay Christian. Black men and gay women, lesbian women. Large part of the Christian community. Unfortunately, it's something they hide. I mean, they're not. If you gay men and women are openly gay and they go to church, basically they're not. Your choir directors, half your choir, half your ministers. Give me a break. The rest of them, your deacons and all those macho men. What do they call macho? They're there. So it was always a part of our community.
How did you personally feel about gay men and lesbian women?
I mean, it wasn't different. I mean, it wasn't anything to like feel about. They were there. They were part of the environment that I lived in. It didn't become a question until I became grown and was working or kind of supporting the gay community that I realized that white people really differentiated. It's a very white thing to, that question, how did you feel about gay people in your community? They were always there. What was the feel? I certainly, as a child, I couldn't make fun of some gay man or gay woman. I wanted to live. My mother would have killed me. No, you don't do that kind of stuff. You don't disrespect people like that. It wasn't, the black community, when I was growing up, it wasn't like, he's a gay man, he'll rape boys. We knew better. We knew that gay and being a pedophile were two very different things. Very different. They had nothing to do with nothing. If anything, you better be afraid of that straight man. That was if you had to be afraid, the gay man and a straight man, you better be, and if you're a girl, you better be afraid of that straight man. If you were a boy, you better be afraid of that straight man. So, but it wasn't until, I was an adult that I saw it was like all these differences in the community. And the gay community, of course, is predominantly white, racist, sexist. So a lot of black gay people, basically, especially my generation, people a little bit younger than me, they have anything to do with that community. The young gay kids, they're all over the place. They don't care. They just, and until they hit that wall of racism, then they go, oh, we're both oppressed. Now you're going to double oppress me? You're a white man who's gay. You're oppressed. I'm a black man who's gay. And you're going to be prejudiced against me. I don't get it. So until they hit that wall, they're kind of out there. They're all cute together. And they hit that wall. And they either become very angry and antisocial, or they do like a lot of gay men, black gay men, they're not in the community. So when you see parades like Pride, Pride is nothing but a parade. And on the one hand, you could say, well, that's great that gay people can go out and have a parade. After all, they have the Thanksgiving parade, if you will. But when I was coming up in the movement, the movement for my generation, Pride was about that. It was about pride. It wasn't about being naked and having your dick hanging out and your titties flopping all over the place. It was about pride. It was about pride and being who I am. It wasn't about, let me show you how nasty and doggish I can be. It wasn't about that. It was that we have an agenda. We have an agenda. We have a right to be here as human beings. We have a right to demand money for AIDS. We have a right to demand housing for people that are living with AIDS. The right for, it wasn't about marriage when I was coming up, when I was coming along. But we have a right to the jobs, to the health care, to whatever any other citizen has. We have that right. We have a right. If we want to go, we want to join the army and go and get killed like everybody else, we got that right. It wasn't about, let's see how big your dick is and how you can sling your titty over here. It wasn't about that. It was about pride. So when you see pride, gay pride, you see, very seldom you see older black gay and lesbian men out there. Very seldom. You might see the ones who think they need to catch up with going through the crisis, what is that, the 50-year crisis, whatever the hell men go through. But it's just, I know I can explain it. It's like my generation, does not take pride in wearing holy dungarees, raggedy clothes. We don't take pride in that because the struggle wasn't about that. The struggle was about being able to buy a decent pair of whatever, to be able to dress the way you want to dress, and to be presentable. So when you see gay pride here, in any of the cities where I've seen gay pride, I'm truly embarrassed because of the struggle that the brothers and sisters have gone through to get us. That struggle wasn't about us slinging dick and titties all over the place. That wasn't what the struggle was about. You know, have a parade, dress as drag as you want, but it was about pride. I don't see that.
Were you aware of the Stonewall Inn before the riot happened? So you didn't know about.
I didn't
what
know
that
the
was,
name.
or
No, I knew what it was.
you knew what it was. You
Oh,
knew
yeah, I mean-
of it. You knew of it.
Oh, yeah, we
Had
knew-
you ever been there? or-
Oh, no.
Never been there. Okay. Okay.
We knew gay bars.
Right.
I mean, you know, I didn't know Stonewall per se.
Right.
It wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't a shock. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, there's a gay bar. It wasn't anything like that. No, not at all. We knew gay bars, of course. You know.
You didn't go to gay bars, right?
Mm-mm. I didn't go to bars. I wasn't. I was never. I think I went. I'll tell you the truth. I think I may have been in 2 bars in my life. Just wasn't interested. I just, you know, just never was.
So the riot happened at the Stonewall, and then somebody called you the next day. Was that what happened?
Well, let's do a thing on words.
Okay.
We in the community consider Stonewall a rebellion. A riot is when people just don't have nothing else to do and they just, let's just tear up the place. Stonewall was a rebellion against the conditions that gay men and gay women, but especially gay men, were living under. If you were even perceived as being gay, you know, just the way you wore, you could have turned around the wrong way. Some macho guy was offended. They'd start beating up on you or calling you names in public and all this kind of stuff. I knew about Stonewall, the history of Stonewall's bar, after, not before. So it was after you learned that the police were always raiding. Now, the police didn't raid so much in the black community. They didn't want that confrontation. Those drag queens in the black community were no joke. So the police, you know, unless excuse me, unless the police just didn't have nothing else to do that day, and they really want their behinds kicked, they go down and mess with the gay bars in the black community. Or, you know, that's the only way I can think of. But Stonewall was different. Stonewall was in Manhattan. True, it was on the lower side of Manhattan. It was in the so-called bohemian community. And the police would come down and just harass them. You know, it was isolated. It wasn't like on a main street, you know. So when the cops came down there and people rebelled against that, you know, it's like, what is it, you know, you kick a dog long enough, after a while it starts fighting back. It's like, enough is already, enough of this. And that's what happened.
So how did you hear about it?
My mother called me.
Your mother called you?
Yeah, my mother called me. My mother was a poker player. My mother made her side living playing poker. So she was in that kind of life, that nightlife, you know, gambling and that kind of stuff. On weekends, my mother made them. So she knew a lot of those. She knew about the gay community, you know. So she's like, oh, you know. So I don't even know who was supposed to be down there, but I took my kids over to her house and got some blankets and things. And then I went to another friend and we got some stuff. Because we knew the deal. We knew how the cops were going to treat him. But we also knew this was a predominantly white bar, and white people were not accustomed to being harassed by the police. So they were The drag queens were, the gay men were, but the larger community wasn't. So they were not going to be ready for these men and women to be, half naked, beaten up, bloody, and that kind of stuff. So they were going to come and gawk. And, like that. But we knew other things needed to be done. So one of my friends was a nurse's aide and, had been gradually gathering up stuff from hospital. We had been getting stuff, reappropriating stuff. People needed stuff, we get it. And I hate to say this, but Bank of America, this is just a little side. Bank of America had silverware with their name on it. Bank of America. I was working at Tip. I told her I took a whole set of silverware. A friend of mine needed silverware. She didn't have any silverware. So every day I take a spoon, knife, and fork. Bank of America. Oh, I still got it. Got up there and come for us. But anyway, so we kind of knew, so we hopped the train. And interesting, the train was full that night. People were hearing it. Or, either people were on their way home or going somewhere and they heard about it. And they were going, oh shit! We get off the train, and we, got down there that morning. It was in the morning when I got there. And cops were out there. And people were kind of milling around, they were just like, what's going on, what are the cops, So the police had taken a lot of the drag queens, gay men, down to the Tombs. The Tombs is one of the oldest prisons, one of the oldest jails, in New York, on Manhattan proper. My understanding, it used to be where they held slaves who worked in New York. They would hold them down at night. That's where they slept. That was my understanding. I never followed up on that. But anyway, so the Tombs is down there, and the cops knocked out the windows, or someone. I'm assuming the police knocked down the windows. It was plexiglass. So I'm assuming the police took the plexiglass off. So when it rained or any dust or anything, it just went, because it was it was at street level. You had to bend down to look, it was street level. And that's where they had taken people. So here we go, little blankets and goody good two shoes. So what do we know? What do you want? So we're looking up at the desk side. Oh, we brought some blankets and things down. Big Irish cop, he looked at me and said, get the fuck out of here. We're bringing blankets and things down for our friends, Just get the fuck out of here before I be thrown out. So about that time, some other people came in. Because there was about 5 of us then. So other people came in and they had soup and, some food and sandwiches. And he really got pissed off. You gotta get that far out. He just got crazy. So some other policemen came in and they took him, told him to calm down, and he went somewhere. And just put the stuff over there and go, just get out. We're like, no, we want to, see what's going on. We'll stay right here until they come out. I had never really been in jail. I didn't know the procedure, they're not coming out right now. They've been under arrest and, they got to go to court, so we're like, no, we'll stay right here. So somebody had some lawyer, I don't know if it was, I'm trying to think, did I meet Bill Consular then or after Stonewall? I remember when I met William Consular. I don't know if it was there or after. But anyway, a couple of lawyers came in and, they said, well, we want to see our clients. And they were representing pretty much everybody. And they went in and talked to them. And it might have been like the ACLU, that kind of group or some other kind of. It wasn't no uptown lawyer, that's for sure. It wasn't that kind of thing. A lot of the gay men lost their jobs. They were in jail. They, were outed, to their family and friends after that. They lost their homes. my understanding is a couple of guys committed suicide. You know, a lot of them didn't have any support. That was the only place they had. And so it was taken away from them.
Did you ever get to see the prisoners?
Yeah, we saw them when we came out. You know, when they were on their way to jail, you know, we went, you know, followed them up to the jail, up to the court. We actually went up to the court.
And you said some of them were naked or had
Some of them, right. Some of them didn't have any clothes. The cops gave them, oh gosh, sort of like a, I don't know, uniform, cotton shirt and pants, and didn't fit half of them. You know, those, like, they would look at you and know you were an extra large. They'd make sure you had a small. So we gave them, because they couldn't really cover themselves. They couldn't, you know, and they couldn't go into court dressed in drag, and, you know, it's against the law, which is no such law, by the way. But they couldn't go into court dressed in drag, and they couldn't wear this, and they couldn't wear the leather. They couldn't, I mean, just a whole lot of stuff. And you could see that some of them had really, really been beaten, were really hurt, you know, both physically and emotionally. So people as a whole supported the fact, not that they were gay, but that they had a right to not be harassed. I think that's what the majority of people supported, that they had a right not to be harassed. Not that they were gay, that might have been second or third, but the fact that the police were, you know, harassing, you know, harassing people, and you know, beating them up, physically beating them. I mean, you get hit with a billy club, you've been hit. I mean, because they hit you with nothing but hate and strength behind that hate, you know. So a lot of them had been hurt. Like I said, I heard a couple of them, at least I heard 2, had committed suicide. I didn't know them, but I remember there was a memorial at Washington Park for them. I didn't go.
So then you were out on you went to the jail and you were able to get the food and the clothing to the people, and then you said when you went out on the street there was a lot of milling around and
a lot of milling around.
Because they said
we couldn't get the clothes to them. We had to leave them at the bench.
Okay.
The lawyers were going to get them, you know. But when they came out in the paddy wagons, you could see that they had the blankets and the sheets around them that we had, you know. And some of them had clothes, and, you know, I guess they looked clothes presentable for court, whatever that was.
But the demonstrations went on for like...
The demonstrations went on and on and on.
Like a couple weeks, I understand.
Right, and I stayed that day, and then that first day, the next day we bought clothes, and then the first day we bought clothes, the next day, and I didn't come back for a couple of days, and I came back when we went to court, when they started making the appearances in court. The first time I got to court, I couldn't get in because it was so crowded. Everybody was trying to get into court. And the second day I got in, did I get in the door that day? I'm trying to think. One day I got all the way into the courtroom, and one day I got outside the court. So it was a lot of support, you know, a lot of support. I didn't belong to an organization or anything like that, so it wasn't anything I could really do, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just friends, you know, we knew that these people were hurt. So that's how that went.
And you mentioned William Kunstler, the lawyer?
Yeah, I was trying to think when I met Bill Kunstler. I don't know if I met him there or after.
Who was he?
Bill Kunstler, very progressive lawyer, had been married, lived somewhere up in New York, Jewish lawyer. Lived a very, you know, upper middle class, prestigious life. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Bill, but anyway, he turned his whole life around. He became a very progressive lawyer, helped with the Center for Constitutional Rights. He was the lawyer that Attica, the brothers in Attica asked for. He was the one that, went to Attica and fought against Rockefeller, and he did the Yvonne Wainwright. He did, and Yvonne was a Lakota native living in California, and this white man broke into her house on the first floor and tried to rape her daughter. She killed him. Of course, they wanted to execute her right away, and she got away, and he defended her. And I was working at the Center for Constitutional Rights at that time with Bill and the Candies in Florida, who are still there, other progressive people. And Bill Counsel was, every time we went to court, he was like, Your Honor, we're all prepared to go to jail. We're not going to jail, Bill. Not today. I got to go pick the kids up. So he was, and his company is on Gay Street. He passed a couple years ago. His daughters did a really nice, sweet documentary on him. They left a lot of stuff out, but they put in, they kept in some important things. So if you ever, get a chance, it's probably on YouTube or something. Bill Consley was an incredible lawyer. He did a lot of work. Like I said, the Attica brothers, they asked for him. He was the one that did the negotiating. So I'm not sure if he was at Stonewall or not. I don't remember. I don't remember where I met Bill, to tell you the truth.
Did you and he become friends, or just working buddies, or? Working
buddies, friends too. I mean, to know Bill was to love him. Listen, you on the far right, you just hated his guts, couldn't stand him. Brilliant lawyer, brilliant. He would, just head full of hair, just flying all over the place, just out there, real radical lawyer. Meant really well. He died young.
After Stonewall, there were these organizations, the Gay Activist Alliance, the Gay Liberation Front. Did you participate with that or have any contact?
No, but there was a group that came out, Dykes and Dykes. And Dykes and Dykes was an organization, basically young white women who were fighting the court system. Because they were lesbians, the court was saying if the father wanted the children, she's an unfit mother because she's a lesbian. And so this group came out called Dykes and Dykes. And I knew one of the girls, whose name eludes me right now. I want to say Emily or Emma or something like that. And so I would type up the leaflets for them, and run to, get them photocopied and run the stuff all over town for them and drop them off on my way to work and give them out on the train. And people were sick of me. Because, you ride in your train, how you get everything. The world's coming to an end. Buy this, get this cross, or, you won't make it to the next stop. Read this, buy Muhammad Speaks, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's the whole thing. Get tickets from Coney Island, this goes on and on. So I did that, and they had a writing, one of those write-in campaigns to your senators. And I did that and realized, this is not going to work. That was the end of that. But I would, do the typing and, run the papers off, run them off for them. And, I did them at work, they had the money. I didn't have it. It was for a good cause. And of course now they would call, she was stealing, she was stealing copyright, she was stealing paper, photocopies, whatever.
It's interesting to me because at the time you didn't consider yourself to be a dyke with tykes.
No,
you didn't think of yourself that way.
No, No.
You just kind of were doing it as part of being an activist.
And, I was a mother and, you think, well, it could be me. Somebody could be taking my kids. My kids they would have brought back, but somebody would have been trying to take my kids, And in retrospect, when I look at it, and I think about it, and I think, I think women put too much in. I'm the only one that can raise this child. Not, that's not true. Men can raise that child. Let him have it. You come and visit. You know what I'm saying? You go away on vacations. You send the postcards. You pay the child support. Come on now. Rethink that.
And you said that eventually your husband did take your 3 girls.
Oh, just, for the weekend and the holidays and, summer.
I thought he ended up getting custody of them or something.
No.
No? Oh, okay.
Oh, hell no. They wouldn't go anyway. They weren't those kind of girls. And let me have fun? No way. No. Mm-mm.
When did you and your husband separate?
We were together about 5 years, long enough to make babies.
Oh, okay.
Just long enough to make them.
So you weren't with him at the time of Stonewall then?
Oh, no.
Oh, you'd already separated.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
pretty much a single parent all my life, all their lives. Absolutely, yeah. And if I had it to do over again, I just would have been more mature, but I would have been a single parent. Period. I would have been a single parent. I would have had more fun with them. If I had been older and more mature. But when you're young, you're growing up with them and you don't know what the hell is really going on. But I think I would have done better as a single parent.
Anything you want to say about like Stonewall and the aftermath, like what came after that, or any of your involvement? I mean, you were involved with Dykes and Dykes for a while, I guess.
Right, and then I left New York.
When did you leave New York?
In the 70s, sometime in the 70s. Like I said, my days are crazy.
And you just wanted to go somewhere else.
I was so sick of New York. I was over New York.
Tired
I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Norfolk, Virginia. And my girls like to say they raised me in Norfolk, Virginia. And stayed there for a number of years. Officially joined Workers' World Party. We did a lot of work, around the Klan, that kind of, Prisoner Solidarity Committee. We did a lot of work around that. What else was going on then? AIM, the American Indian Movement with Leonard Peltier. That was going on. We did work around the longest walk, the march. Those kinds of intervention, we've tried to do around the death row thing, this whole thing about death row, the inequality of death row, the inequality of the death sentence itself. If you're poor and black, you're definitely going. If you're poor and white, you really got a chance of going. If you're rich and white, male, it's very different. It's very unlikely that you're going to get the death penalty unless you have just killed every single human being. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, I can't think of this guy. He's part of this really wealthy family. He's super wealthy. And, he killed the gardener. He said the gardener was stealing from him. And he killed this old man, cold blood. I mean, they put him in a psych unit for 30 days down the street. I want to say it was the Reynolds or Ralston millionaires. I mean, so we did a lot of work around that. Today we're doing a lot of work with the Old People's Congress. That we held a big conference in Detroit some years ago. We've always done a lot of work around, fighting the Klan, the right wing, solidarity with the Palestinian people, the U.S. out of Vietnam, undeclared war. The thing about the U.S., I think, if you look at its history, the U.S. is not, and I'm talking about the government, the ruling class, they don't respect the history of others. You know what I'm saying? They don't respect. So when you look at Vietnam, the U.S. didn't respect the Vietnamese people's history. They had already fought the French, the British, and everybody else. They had nothing else to lose. So they were like, I remember the radio stations would play Bomb. No, it wasn't that one. The radio stations that, oh God, what is that? Oh, what is that group? The Beach Boys, and they would sing some horrible song. Years later, they made Bum Bum Iran. But they would sing this horrible song about Vietnam. It was racist. It was, and the radio stations would play them over and over again. There was another song that came out by a black singer. I don't know if it was Mary Wells, Bring the Boys Home. The U.S. refused to, they made the radio stations not play it. But getting back to the Vietnamese people, they were like, okay, bring it on. We fought everybody. So people say, they put bombs on their children and sent them out there. Well, women that were living in slavery would smother their children rather than have them live as a slave. So you have to think of that history, what these people, the sacrifices that these people had to make in order to gain their freedom, to get their freedom back. They didn't want anything from anybody. They weren't asking, just go home and mind your business and let us have. This is an internal war between our people, not, it's like a family war. And so the U.S. has never gotten over the fact that these little short brown people beat the hell out of them with hatchets and tunnels and no food and barefoot, in the jungle. But they didn't think about you're in somebody else's country fighting them on their home turf. Somebody come over here, I'm bound to win some of the war. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to win some of it. I might not win all of it, but damn it, you're going to have a hard time catching up with me because I know the terrain. And so, and I remember that war when the brothers came home and they said on national TV, they said, you think you're going to put a gun in my hand to go and fight somebody who never called me nigger? You think I'm not going to use that gun on somebody that does call me nigger? The U.S. was like, oh. So then the whole crackdown started, crackdown on the Panthers. Panthers became a real threat. It was the first time black men would say, you know what, I got a right to carry guns, not just white men. Oh, I'm going to carry guns. And they did. That was a fact. When the ruling class thinks about it, and I think they think in these terms. If I was black, and I was treated the way I treat black people, y'all wouldn't be walking around. So when they look at black people, especially black men, they have to have a little fear because they know how they're treating that person or that community.
You said that you were 38 when you had your first lesbian experience.
No, I was about 30 years, maybe 30s, maybe about 38.
Okay. So you were a single mom, and you had your 3 daughters with you, and then you met some gorgeous woman, or?
No, she was a member of the party, and I knew her for a number of years. She lived in Boston. I was in Virginia. Never had any contact with her. I mean, other than political. And one day I just woke up and said, huh. I did. I called her up and we started. It was the worst relationship I'd ever had in my entire life. And it was too. I mean, it really was.
But it didn't discourage you from other women.
No, it didn't, but you know how, I don't know if you know anything about, the 12-step programs. They always talk about making amends. I always felt like I should make amends for even getting in on life. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. God. But anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I've had some good relationships with both men and women. I consider myself a lesbian, but I also know that I'm open. I'm not closed down to, I might meet somebody. I might meet a guy. I'm not closed down to that, I might meet another woman. I feel like, when you love somebody, you just love them. It has nothing to do with he's got a dick or she's got a pussy, excuse my French. But it has to do with what's here, what attracts you, what makes you feel safe and comfortable. And I haven't met any of those people. I met one woman that I fell in love and I loved her and I loved her and I loved her. And I knew she was straight and I knew she was afraid of being, because then she'd have to be real. And she doesn't want to be real. So, you just keep moving on, But I'm open to, if you fall in love and you meet someone that's in love with you and you can love, you can't ask for anything more. I don't care who it's with. I don't care. He's black, white, female. If you meet that person and they care about you and you care about them, that's what liberation is. Not just putting yourself in this whole thing, I'm that gay woman, I'm that, just me and her, me, Jane, her, Jane. But, I still have the opportunity to meet someone that will love me and I can love just for who we are. If it happens, it happens. And I think that's when people are really lucky, when you meet that person that's honest. And, it's like, okay, I'm through with the nightlife. I want to be a homebody. Let's go hiking. I want to cook. Or whatever it is you want to do. But I'm going to be faithful to you, because I want to respect myself first. And as long as I respect myself first, I can do the rest. That's how I think.
I'm kind of curious about the fact, I was thinking, Stonewall in 1969, and then you're having your first lesbian experience, like 12 years later, and then suddenly, not suddenly exactly, but then the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender movement became your own personal movement too.
Well, I don't know so much my own personal movement, but it's a part of the struggle. It isn't separate from the struggle. And I think that's where the gay community gets it twisted. It's a part of the same struggle. Oppression is oppression. If I say to you, you're a white gay man, you can't live here. Well, why? I'm oppressing you. You can't live here because you're a straight black man. I'm oppressing you. Oppression is oppression. So it's a part of the same struggle, and it's a part of the same values. The bottom line is, we as a people want to live with a dignity that's our own. Whether I'm gay, whether I'm straight, I could be a pole dancer. I don't have that energy, but whoever, but that I have a right to do that without question. I'm not hurting you. I'm not coming into your home. I'm not, whatever you think. This whole this whole oppressive thing about the sanctity of marriage. The United States has more divorces than anybody else in the world. People can't wait to get divorced. They're like, we'll run down there and get married now. Okay, then we'll run down and get divorced. And then you wonder why all these privileged children they're killing in masses now. They're living in a two-party home and they have everything a child could want. You have Columbine. You have the United States has one of the largest incarcerations of children in the world, on the Western world. Your kids are locked up. Your men are locked up. The violence in women is becoming more and more. And it's about the oppression that people are living under. And as a Christian, as a socialist, and I know people see that as a contradiction, but they have to work that out. I've worked it out. The church plays a large role in the oppression of people. I don't care what church, Catholic, Jewish, Baptist, and on and on. It oppresses people. It makes you guilty to be alive almost. You can't, oh my God, you're sinning. You want that. Oh my God, you want to be with a man. You're a man. Well, why is the church so against that? Well, all these women together, all these men together, who's going to reproduce and support them? Let's get real here. This is about money. And who gets the most money? The Catholic Church. It's one of the wealthiest organizations in the world. And you don't reproduce, oh hell no. How am I going to live? So that has a lot to do with it. When you talk about homosexuality to Christians, oh, it's in the Bible. Excuse me. So when they say that to me, I always say, what did Christ say? Show me what Christ said about homosexuality. Then we can talk. He didn't say nothing. And I'm thinking,
he didn't say much about sexuality, period.
Right. And I'm thinking, now this guy knows he's only going to be here, 33 years. I might as well get it all set, Let me just get it all out right now. Look, this is what you should be doing. Because I only got 3 more years left, Christ didn't say any of that kind of stuff. He didn't say any of that stuff. I just had this turn into an argument. This woman, and she said, well, Christ died on the cross for our sins, and he forgave people, and we as Christians have to forgive people. I said, you know what? Reread what Christ said. He didn't say he forgave them. Christ said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. He didn't say, I forgive them. He said, Father, you forgive them. You know what I'm saying? I got my second thoughts about this because I'm being nailed up on this thing. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to hear when people start telling me, oh, it's in the Bible. Really? Where did Jesus say that? Show me where Jesus. Show me the red. The Bible, Jesus says it's in red. Show me what he said. Well, Paul said that. Paul was homophobic anyway. Paul had problems. Paul hated women. Paul had his own issues. But Paul was more like you and I. Show me what Jesus said.
So you have these discussions or debates or arguments now with people in your church?
Not so much in my church, but every now and then, somebody will say something what I feel is really stupid. Oh, it's against God. Really? When did he say that? Would you have a vision? And when even my own pastor, he always says, I have a message for you. God told me to tell you. I'm like, God should know my phone number by now. He need to be calling me and telling me, give me the message. But he's like, this is a universal message. Oh, okay. This is for everybody. It wasn't just for you. I was like, okay. But don't look at me and tell me about God told me to tell you. He knows my phone number. So.
Mary Louise, anything you want to say you haven't already said before we stop? Any last thought or
No.
closing statement? Or
No. I just think that we have to do better than what we're doing now in appreciation of the struggle of the sisters and brothers before Stonewall and Stonewall. That pride has to be in recognition of that struggle and the sisters and brothers that have died fighting that struggle. We can have a parade. We can have a wonderful, wonderful time. But we have to have some pride. We've got to have some pride.
It's like the whole thing has just been dumbed down.
And I'm offended. I'm offended. I don't want to see somebody in a parade, flopping dick and titties all over the place. I go to I can get those things on TV if I want to.
And what is it about?
What does it say?
I mean, is there any message? Is there any meaning?
No, because you're saying I have a right to be like everybody else. But when was the last time you were at the Thanksgiving parade? So somebody flopping dick and titty. I mean, let's be honest. I'm a gay man with children, so I'm out there. Your son or your daughters, they're watching this. Is that what you want them to see? Is that how you want them to recognize you as a gay and proud man? There are places for that. There's a time and a place for everything. And I think we could have a wonderful time. We could party. But we have to have some pride in that too.
Well, we used to have a list of demands. We used to have like an agenda that we presented, and we were asking for civil and human rights and basic liberties, and it's sort of like whatever happened to that presentation.
I remember the Pride in New York. We'd go down there, go down to St. Patrick's Cathedral. Come on out. And we would make our demands to the Catholic Church. And guys, they'd be dressed in drag, with the swirling robes and, and all this. Come on down, honey, join us. And whatever rights, whatever we were making, whatever the demands were. Here, it's not just here, not just in Atlanta, of course. It's, I don't know what kind of person. I don't go. I don't want to be associated.
You don't have any connection to gay pride or to black pride?
And I'm like a lot of, not just older gay black people, but older gay and lesbian. It's just too out there. It's just, it's like, it's not about being respectable. It's not looking like, I want to be respectable. It's not about that. It's just like, I really don't want to be associated with that. I don't give a damn what your cause is. I really don't want, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not struggling and marching and fighting for gay rights, to have you wiggle your little thing. That's not what, And I say this to young black boys, so I see what they draws. I said, you walking around like you got on wet Pampers. That's not what the civil rights movement was about. And that's how I feel about gay rights. Too many have given their lives. Too many have had their lives taken from them. Forced into suicides, hung, strung, all kinds of different indignities that have happened to them. For you to be running around here flopping, I don't know. That's not what that is.
Well, you were talking about the people at Stonewall who lost their jobs, lost their homes, a couple who killed themselves.
Yeah, I heard 2 of them. I heard 2 men kill themselves. They lost everything. And there was no support group. You see these support groups now. It's all about being a pretty little boy, a pretty little thing. They were struggling for their lives. It wasn't about this bullshit about, oh, I'm going to be so cute. It wasn't about that. You know, if you're locked up and you're working a straight job as a straight man, you're in prison now. You're in jail. Who are you going to call and tell your boss? You can't tell them that. So they lose their job because they don't come to work. Or if somebody knows that they're down there. You know, so you don't have a job. How much savings can you have? You know, you're poor, working class. Even if you're middle class, how much savings do you have? You can't get a job. Why did you lose? And young man, why did you lose your last job? Why did you leave your last job? That kind of bullshit. So then they lose their jobs. A lot of them, their family didn't know. So some families may have been supportive, and other families were just like running for the hills. You know, so then you become homeless. You know, your friends will help you the best they can. You know, but a lot of times your friends were caught up with you too. So it just, I think it, you know, for the young men that did eventually commit suicide, and I heard, like I said, I heard there were 2 of them. It had to be too much for them. It had to be too much. That's what I know. But the struggle is not what gay pride parade is. That's not what their lives were given up for.
Are you involved in any kind of gay LGBT activism now?
Oh, God, no.
You know?
No, absolutely not. No. It's just, it's so petty bourgeoisie. It's so, it's beyond me. It's just beyond me.
Were you glad to see about the Proposition 8 ruling?
In California?
Yeah, where the judge overturned it.
Well, I kind of think it was going to happen. I just, you know, the climate, people are so overwhelmed. I was in California for the first wedding, big marriages. And so I went down and with some friends that I was just staying with and saw some of the first marriages. But, I mean, they have to go all the way to the Supreme Court, which is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting fight to see how they juggle this. And the kind of lawyers that they have to, those of us who are fighting for this, they're going to have to know the Constitution, and they're going to have to be able to work around it. And they have to keep in mind that a new judge is sitting on the bench now. Kagan just got elected. And we don't know which way she's going to fly. You know. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Supreme Court is all white, old men. I don't care what Thomas says. You know.
But you're in favor of the way it was ruled, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a shady rule, but it was still a win.
Right.
He wasn't ready to put his whole whatever on the line.
Right.
You know, he just said, yeah, you know, it is against the law, and just let's put it on a hold. Well, it's the same kind of ruling they had for civil rights. It's against the rule, you know. Wait. That's what they kept telling us. Wait. What did Dr. King say? We waited over 100 years. Wait for what? You know, what did Hosea say? Wait. You know. So, it's going to be interesting because the Supreme Court is looking at having 2 fights. We done?
It's 2 minutes, 1 minute.
Okay, the Supreme Court is looking to have 2 major fights. The Arizona and this fight.
Mm-hmm.
So, and again, you know, a new judge sitting on the bench. Who knows? You know.
The struggle continues.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But it does.
God bless you.
And you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Jody.
Oh, it's been a privilege.
Thank you. I wish I could, you know.
Just let Jody. Mary
I'm
Louise.
so sick.
Another
God,
day.
God is all that is. Higher power. God, I could go on and on and on about the 12 steps. I've been in so many 12 step. How many 12 steps have I gone to?
Well, I became a grateful member.